Medicine Café. My name is Mayara. I'm from Brazil, and I will be coordinating with my colleague Veronika about our Rural Medicine Café. It's a way to do an informal conversation and talk with everybody with a lot of places and different experiences and focusing in rural medicine. So, if anyone would like to ask questions, you can ask on our Facebook page, and we'll be there and try to have some discussion. So I pass the word to Veronika, and we have a lot of questions today, and I think it will be a very great way to discuss about rural medicine. So Veronika?
Yeah, I'll introduce myself even though I'm still listening to you finish talking. So I'm Veronika, I'm a family medicine in Croatia, and I'm currently working in a rural area near the Hungarian border. And I would like to let the next person introduce themselves.
Could be Sarah. So we go in order.
I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. So I'm Sarah Strasser. I'm a lapsed rural GP because I'm currently living in a city in Canada. Next person.
Next one, Radwa, can you talk? Radwa, just turn on your mic. Until Radwa is fixing it, maybe Muhammad.
Hello everyone.
Hi Muhammad, can you talk a little bit?
Hello?
It's not working. Maybe Dr. Rahman?
Hello.
Hi Dr. Rahman. So
Yeah, can
introduce
you
yourself.
hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
I am Raman Kumar. I live in New Delhi. Presently, I'm not doing rural practice, but I'm here to talk about young doctor movements. I represent young doctor movements on Wonka World. So that's all about me.
That's fine. And Aya?
Okay, I'm Aya Badruddin, 5th grade medical student. It's the first rural cafe I have attended, so I'm really very interesting to know more about rural health and know more about one.
Okay. And Amber?
Hello, my name is Amber. I'm originally from the British Virgin Islands, but I'm currently studying medicine at Swansea University in the UK, and I have a special interest in remote and rural medicine.
And Bianca just entered in the conversation. Bianca, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Hi everyone. My name is Bianca. I have to apologize. My voice is not really good right now because I am with a flu. I didn't know that I should start the video. I was waiting for someone to invite me. I'm so sorry that I didn't enter before. I'm a medical student. I live in the same state as Mayara, but in another city called Porto Alegre. And I really like the family medicine for a while. And recently I found out a little bit more about the rural medicine, and I really enjoyed this subject as well. I watched the first cafe meeting, rural cafe here, and I was really excited listening to it, and I hope I can enjoy today again and be able to bring something nice for you too.
Really nice. So just Radwa, can you introduce yourself? Yeah.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Radwa Klela, medical student. I'm from Egypt. It's my first rural cafe to attend. I'm really interested to know more about the team. Just it.
So that's good. We have everybody now. I think maybe someone will enter. I'm sorry for who will enter. We are kind of trying to organize everything. But I'm very excited, and I know that Veronika has something to talk about Wonka Istanbul. So how you get there and what is the ideas, and we are here to discuss in our rural cafe about the Wonka Istanbul. Veronika.
Okay, thank you, Mayara. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who's joining us today for our second Rural Cafe. I would just like to briefly tell you a little bit about WONCA. So WONCA is the World Organization of Family Doctors. And inside WONCA, there are 7 young doctor movements, which Raman will talk about a little bit later. WONCA had its regional conference in October, so about 2 weeks ago. And there was a lot of different topics going on, among which were rural topics as well. So the rural practitioners were represented by EUREPA. EUREPA is the European Rural Practitioners Organization. And I was hoping to have Tanya here to talk a little bit about that with you. But in general, they held some workshops. Some of them were about the future of rural practice, things like how would we improve the current rural practice, what things should we exclude, what things should we perhaps implement. There was a lot of talk about social media and how it could be used for education and interactions with patients and other colleagues. There was also discussion about how young doctors feel when their first job is in a rural area and they're in a single practice. And one of the doctors from France actually mentioned that that's one of the main problems in France, that young doctors don't like to go to rural areas and be put into single practice, that they prefer to be put into some kind of group practice if they find themselves in a rural area. So that's just a little bit about Wonka. There was also talk about the immigrant situation that we are having in Europe at the moment and how that's influencing rural areas. There's thousands and thousands of people coming through every day here in Croatia, and some countries have things organized a little bit better, some countries a little bit less. In Croatia currently we have we built shelters and they have food, shelter, they can take a shower, they have somewhere to sleep, but mainly they just pass through Croatia on to Germany. They don't really stay here more than a couple of days. And for now, it's mainly Red Cross and volunteer doctors taking care of them through. At Wonka, there was an official statement that was issued by Wonka Europe. I think you can find that on the Wonka website. So yes, that's a little bit about Wonka Istanbul.
Sure. And who were there? I wasn't. Who were there?
So there was actually a lot of doctors. There was more than 3,500 attendants at Wonka Istanbul from all over the world. I think it was something like 70 countries, so it wasn't just doctors from Europe. There was actually about over 1,000 young doctors as well that attended, which was very good and surprising. Raman was at Wonka, so if he wants to jump in here and say a few words about what went on in Istanbul, that would be great.
Yeah, it was really a great experience for me. I have experience of participating in other Wonka European conferences. Earlier I was there in Prague in Wonka World Conference in 2013. Then last year I was in Lisbon. It was Wonka Europe Conference, and again this time in Istanbul. So for me it was the third experience. I know it's meeting people, doctors, physicians, healthcare professionals, or providers from different backgrounds, contexts, and settings. It's really, really very interesting and a great learning experience as we talk from different backgrounds. This time was very special in Istanbul because we were able to bring young doctor movement leads from all 7 Bonka world regions. So Bonka has around 500,000 members, and we have organizations in Bonka, and we have 7 regions. These countries are divided into 7 regions. Each of these regions now has a young doctor movement, and we try to bring them together this time in Istanbul, which was really, really great because we were having representatives from all continents, and we had really had good fun interacting with each other, and we had special designated sessions. So we participated in the Vasco da Gama pre-conference. Vasco da Gama is a European young doctor movement. And then we had a grand session where all the 7 young doctor movement leads talked about their inspiration, talks about their perspectives, and there were question answer sessions. And so it was all great, really great. And as we move towards Wonka Rio next year, so we really want to make it big. For myself, representing young doctor movement on Wonka world, because I come from India and we have some 70% population living in rural areas. So I have a special interest in work, or being part of a network which has lots of young doctors who have interest in rural practice or rural or remote settings. Hopefully, we'll have a big crowd in Rio, and we will have many more interesting sessions in Rio with more international participation, not just 7 leagues, but probably maybe it's of other doctors from all over the world. And be great. Sure.
I think it's a great outcome. Just before to going through the Muhammad doesn't introduce himself. So who is you and what are you doing here? And we just started to talk about the Wonka in Istanbul. So just to get you on the conversation.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I am sorry for being late. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Ghazar from Egypt, 22 years old, 5th year medical student. Also, I want to thank Dr. Veronika and Dr. Nagwa for giving me the opportunity to join you in this promising conversation. That's it.
You're very welcome, Mohammed. So do the students from Egypt want to say a little bit about what their experiences have been with rural health so far?
Okay. Giving you a whole picture of the care system in Egypt. Egypt, first of all, has 28 governors. Only 22 of them divided are into urban and rural areas. Primary health care system depend on health units distributed in the villages or the rural areas, where the GPs or family physician can give the health care, primary health care to the public. But the problem is that the GPs are not sufficient or highly qualified to give the care. Although there are a lot, the public depend on pharmacists to give them the care. At first they don't go to the doctor, but at first they go to the pharmacist, giving them a treatment from the over-the-counter drugs. Then they go to If they are fixed, it's okay. If not, they go to the doctor's second. In Egypt, the problems are known and the solutions are known. But I think it's more of political issues. The policymakers should just give attention to people and the non-GOs that give a lot of solution to the problems facing rural health and other problems, and just it will be very good. Also, I want to mention that the GPs don't have or don't receive sufficient salaries. They only receive about 350 Egyptian pounds per month, which equals about $70, which is too low. Also, there are not any good programs to train the GPs and following with their training. That's it.
Okay. So now we have different perspectives, and I think this goes with what Veronika were talking and Dr. Rahman were talking about. We getting networking and getting together to trying to solve this kind of, not solve these issues, but at least find support and find ideas to get it together. Yeah. So who were more in Wonka, Istanbul, and would like to share your experience?
I don't think anyone else was, but I'm very interested in hearing more about what's going on in Egypt from Aya and Radwa, if they're willing to say something.
That's okay. Aya? I'm not sure if Aya is getting on, if she could turn his mic off. So maybe Radwa, how is the things on Egypt?
I think it's that, like Muhammad said, in Egypt, يعني know more about rural cafe, about rural health.
Okay. So Muhammad, what do you have about rural health more talk?
Do you have any rural opportunities in Egypt for training as students?
Concerning the family medicine teaching in the curriculum for medical students, it's a fact that only 2 universities in Egypt have the family medicine curriculum and giving it to the student. From all the 22 universities in Egypt, only 2 in Menofia and Suez Canal University. Also, I want to share with you good research done by our colleagues in our universities. It's a cross-sectional study done in 7 universities in Egypt to measure the perspective of medical student to family medicine, and if they want to perceive it as a career, future career for them. The shocking result, only 4.7% of medical students want to pursue the family medicine as a future career. But the promising part is that about 90% of them were aware of the great importance of family medicine in the healthcare system.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
I think it's nice to see how it's totally different from Brazil. It's not totally different because we have kind of some things are the same, but we have just a small percentage of the students now that would like to take family medicine. I think we have a bit of prejudice with someone that choose this career here, but I'm not sure what Bianca thinks about this, but we have a more structured primary care, and even we have not a lot of students that would like to go for this side. And rural medicine here isn't, we don't have a residency specific just in family medicine as well. I don't know,
Yeah,
Bianca,
that's
if you
right.
have anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just speaking with my friend about this fact that in our school we have some classes about, I don't know, oncology, nephrology, and some other specialties, but we do not have classes only about family medicine. We have classes about public health and some other topics, but we don't have specific medical doctors and people to be an example for us, to show us the career of the family med doctor. And especially what was said in the first cafe that I watched. Another big problem is that we have a small number of family doctors and rural doctors in our schools, in our colleges. And this is a really bad problem because without them, we don't know exactly what is the career and what we can do, especially because usually, as I know, Brazilian colleges are linked to hospitals. And we have lots and lots of classes about specialties, and we are always inside a hospital, but it's a small number of classes that are in primary care, and we don't have rural classes at all. We don't have this experience. I had this experience because I wanted, and I did an extension activity in my holidays. But yeah, and just as you said, there is a lot of prejudice. People think that family doctors, they are going to be poor and they don't know nothing. Everything that was talked in the first cafe, I agree totally. Yes.
Okay. So maybe Amber, Dr. Remand, anyone would like to talk about this?
I don't mind going.
Okay.
So
how it? Yeah. Okay.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So for those of you who missed it, I'm studying at Swansea University in the UK, and the bit of the UK that I live is kind of half urban, half rural. So there's a nice divide between what kind of practice you want to participate in. The majority of my classmates do choose to do an urban practice, even moving from the area that I'm in to areas like London or Birmingham, which are much bigger cities. But of the small minority of us who are interested in rural medicine, of which is maybe about 5 out of the 70 of us, the university has designed a special track called Rural and Remote Health and Medical Education, or RHIME. And there we have the opportunity to specifically seek out rural and remote medical practices, particularly family medicine. But, you know, as Bianca said, it's up to us to want to be interested in it. It's not actively promoted, but the opportunity is there.
Okay, so Sarah just put an information here that in Canada, in the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, they have over 6% who choose family medicine. Can you talk a bit about it? What is the miracle, Sarah? Just joking.
Well, yes, thanks for the invitation. I guess what I was hearing from you all is that it really does require a very determined effort. And so you do need some champions. And the other thing is that actually it's the rural communities that will be behind you hugely. And that's how the Northern Ontario School of Medicine got going, because basically the communities worked out that if they didn't get on and organise their own medical school, they were never going to have enough doctors. And the Northern Ontario School of Medicine is celebrating its 10th year of producing graduates this year, and already has made a significant difference to the number of doctors who are practicing now in Northern Ontario. So it is quite fantastic, but just as it starts from virtually day one to the end of the 4-year graduate course, that in the admission process, there's a certain amount of waiting that will go for people from rural or northern areas compared to urban areas. And I think the number of students who come into this school from a city background, you can probably count on your hands. It's very, very few. It's not a large school. There's, I can't remember how many we've got, 64, I think, at the moment, are admitted. And so they come in knowing that they're coming to quite a different medical school. And I think the differences are things like we do have GPs, not necessarily rural GPs, but we do have GPs as faculty teaching across all the spectrum of diseases and illnesses and all aspects of the curriculum. And we also send students out to rural communities. So they're actually, in the first year, they go and they're billeted with Aboriginal families and Aboriginal communities, and undertake a whole 4 weeks living in these rural areas. And they're mainly rural, being Aboriginal reserves. However, in the second year, then they go twice for another 4 weeks each to small rural towns. And then in the third year, they spend the whole of third year, which is 9 months, living and working in slightly larger rural towns that usually have hospitals and some visiting specialists. But they are, in the main, being taught and working with family physicians in rural communities. And then they come back for their fourth year, and they come back into the larger city hospitals. But when I say city, at this point, the largest city is about 150,000. So certainly much bigger than the small rural communities they've experienced up until that point. And so they are well trained, they understand what the rural issues are. They've learnt to, if they didn't know before, they've learnt how to be resourceful and resilient in rural communities and the benefits of living in rural communities. So I think those are all the tricks, and we're happy to share. So if you can find any champions, get them to talk to us, because this is not a big secret. You just need lots of access.
Yeah. Sorry. Say, Sarah.
Just ask me questions. It's easier to answer questions than for me to matter.
Sure. It's just that I was talking that kind of maybe in the beginning of I'm not sure if you have the consciousness, the idea that you need to have rural practice in our countries all the way, like kind of. For me, Brazil now is kind of new thing that we are talking. If I discuss it with some professors, they will say, "Oh, rural medicine, do we have this?" And then I said, a lot of people a lot of people do not know even that the rural people need some kind of care. So I'm not sure, like maybe you have the aware all the time in Canada, or you need to create this, and how it works, this kind of aware in your countries. We have Egypt here and India, and even the aware, like Dr. Raman is not from rural practice, but what is the aware of the importance of primary care, and are you constructing it? I know there's a longitudinal construction, but do you have this for the whole time, or these are a new idea that you need to discuss with the other kind of professionals, specialists, and how did you form it? Who would like to talk? I said a lot of things.
I don't mind putting in my 2 cents. As considering the awareness of the issue of rural medicine, I think in Wales, the people who are interested in it are very few, and the ones who are aware of it are even less. And I think the problem behind that is that, as you said, people aren't aware that there are people in rural areas that need care. There's this kind of thinking that, oh, they're far away, therefore the problem doesn't exist. And I think by sort of demonstrating to people that there are actual families in these areas that need care the same way that people in urban areas need care, although it's a different issue, will kind of help to enlighten people on, the importance of rural medicine.
Okay. So who would like to link with Amber? I can talk more, but I'm just talking too much. Go ahead, Bianca.
Sorry. Actually, I would like to make a question to Sarah. She was saying that they have lots of classes and lots of family doctors teaching along the course. I would like to ask you, how long have been happening this way? I don't know if you can understand me, but here in Brazil, it's not common to have family doctors as professors, as teachers, and the few ones that we have, they usually just they are just responsible for theoretical classes about our public system. So the students, they are not interested. So they are not family doctors in the practice. They are family doctors inside the class, speaking about theoretical things about our public health. So I would like to know, how long have you been? How long do you have these family doctors as teachers, and especially in these practical activities?
Thanks, Bianca. So, well, there's a couple of interesting different aspects to this story. So as I mentioned, Northern Ontario had very few doctors. They just occasionally had doctors who would come and do locums. So it was very short-term that they would be here. So, however, there were a few. And when we came to start up the medical school, there were a few already involved in the postgraduate training for family medicine residents. And some of those would also have elective students from other schools. But the interesting thing was that they were a bit like the few family physicians that you're talking about, in as much that they didn't feel that they were well trained to teach medical students. And when we first started here, we were told, the important thing that we're going to have to do is teacher training, teacher training, teacher training. Those were the three most important things to do. And so I was fortunate enough to take on that position and had a wonderful time and teaching rural doctors what it is they have to teach about. And in the main, the challenge is that they're very good at what they do, but they need to be able to put it into words that the medical students can understand, and that they have to understand the difference between the rural and urban situations. And they know all this already. It's just giving them an opportunity to talk about it with their colleagues. And so we organise lots of meetings, face-to-face and video conference type meetings, to get them to discuss what it is they had to teach about. And they've all been through medical school, so they all know what it's like, and they are already particularly the rural physicians, rural family doctors, they're already effective teachers, and all the teacher training does is just make them that much better. So, as you are all aware, patient education and teaching people is part of the job. So it comes very naturally to them. And we found that doctors who teach are really inspired by having students and family medicine residents with them. It adds an extra layer to their life, which is a very positive layer. And in fact, there's now a lot of research that really points to the fact that if you have a student, you're basically a better doctor. And we add to that by saying that the best way you can improve being a doctor is by having a student and talking to the student in front of the patient, because the patient learns from the discussion as well, and therefore it becomes a much richer relationship, and you're able to support patients better, and as I say, they get to know more about what's going on. I think I'm not sure it's particularly rural doctors, but we tend to be a little bit silent about what we're thinking. But if the student is kind of probing us with questions as to why we think something, then you can hear the discussion, and it's much richer. So the problem really is the numbers, but it's a kind of snowball effect that once you have a few, they will be able to bring in their friends, and it just moves along from there. I think the other thing that would be good for students to do to help this move along is, if you don't have this already, but for you to nominate teachers for awards, and then you can profile your family medicine teachers in a way that raises them, or profiles them so that people are seeing them, and then it becomes a little bit more real. So I've kind of gone a bit wide to your original question, but it took a lot of work. But once they got into it, they got very excited about it, and they moved from being a bit skeptical that we could introduce such a different medical school in Northern Ontario, because in some ways it was could have been seen to be criticising their own training, and I think we slowly convinced them that we were very genuine about this, and that it was not a negative on them, but that we had to do something differently, and this is what we were planning. And they changed their mindset and moved from, why are you doing this and it's going to fail, to how can we be part of this? This is very exciting, and it's something new and making a difference. Hope that helps.
Yeah. What do you think, Bianca? Is that okay? Yeah, I just think that's kind of like, yeah.
No, just to say that the last thing that Sarah said, it is a great idea. I don't know about you, Mayara, in your university, but I don't have it in mind. But it's a really interesting idea. So thank you, Sarah. I will think about it.
Yeah, when I arrived in Brazil, from my experience in Ireland, I worked with a GP in Ireland, a rural GP, and then I went to talk with my professors about my experience, and I said I worked in an island in the rural area of Ireland doing in a GP practice, and they were like, what is that? Sure that they were specialists, but they are kind of, what you did in your whole time in Ireland, and what's this kind of this rural medicine? Do we need rural medicine? We have clinics enough in the cities and this kind of things. So it was kind of shocking for them to know even that rural medicine exists. So I'm not sure. Well, I just would like to add, yeah, please, Bianca.
No, that's it, because I was abroad as well, and when I came back, some of my professors, they asked me if I got some internship and what was the specialty and how that could improve my curriculum. And if you say that you are interested in rural medicine, they just say, no, but this won't make your curriculum better or something like that. So it, they don't give the, the right value, I guess, in my opinion at least.
Yeah. Just to keep going.
In India regarding the number, there's a large number of doctors graduating from India, and I'm just wondering how many of them go into rural areas or even into family medicine. So Raman, if you could answer that.
Yeah, sure. So India, as you all know, is a big country with huge population. Our population is we are the second largest populated country in the world, which means our population is 1.3 billion at the moment. And we have some 400 medical schools in India. We produce currently about 50,000 medical graduates every year. But there's so much of diversity across the country, which means that almost 2/3 of our medical schools are located in the southern part of our country, and the northern part of country where most of our population resides doesn't have much of doctors. So the distribution of medical schools as well as the physicians is skewed, and we have more doctors in southern India than we have in northern India. And there's also disparity in terms of rural and urban. Most of these medical schools are located in urban areas. Few of the cities, for example, there is one city in Pondicherry which has 10 medical schools, which is, not required in one place, but this is how the things have evolved for the last 20-30 years. And in our training, the basic training in 4.5 years, and then we have 1 year of compulsory internship. So the total course, basic course, is of 5.5 years. Out of this internship of 1 year, there is compulsory posting, rural posting for 6 months. But beyond that, most of the doctors, because the trend is like, the career path is defined like that. First you do your basic course, then you become a specialist, and then you go for sub-specialty courses. And like in most of the countries, in our system also, we don't have community-based physicians or doctors as medical teachers. So normally the specialist doctors who work at the tertiary care hospitals are designated as medical teachers, so students see them as their role models often. And because of the infrastructure gap between rural and urban areas, and because of the living standards gaps within rural and urban areas, many times it is a huge difference between a rural and urban area. So many people, like everywhere else in the world, are inclined to remain in the urban areas only. So, but we still produce large number of medical graduates. So what I see is that there is paradoxically excessive doctors in the urban areas, while our rural areas are depleted. So during last 5-10 years, government came forward with some new schemes. They launched a program which is called National Rural Health Mission, in which they supported the provinces and the states where there were issues of healthcare related infrastructure. So the central government funded the states through this scheme, and more positions for physician recruitment were created. So the situation has improved during the last 5 years, but still we have a long way to go. And one solution what we see in India is what we are pressing for in India is that only we can solve the problem of community if we provide the doctors or the young doctors or the medical students a process, academic process to enter into the community services, which is through structured family medicine services. The specialist residencies are located within the hospital itself, so it's like kind of vertical or movement of career path. But family medicine is a community-based training, so students or the young doctors get horizontal movement into the healthcare delivery system. So within the government policies and paper, in our last national health policy, they said that family medicine is an area of focus area of human resource development. But we have complex governance systems, so the implementation is still lacking and lagging, and we are trying to push for that because this is going to precipitate crisis in future, as we are producing large numbers of medical graduates who are in terms they are dysfunctional, because in cities there's already saturation of physicians, and the hospitals can no longer employ those many doctors in the urban areas. So the only way to engage them and to accommodate them into the health system is their lateral movement through academic process, which is family medicine, into the community. So this is how we think, and that is what we are pushing for in India. And the residency trainings have started in family medicine, but the positions are very limited. So for 50,000 medical graduates, we have currently only 200 family medicine residency positions, and maybe we require 20,000. So that is a huge scale up, which requires investment, which requires changes in the medical education regulations, which requires a large number of huge, probably also political will to train those many medical teachers and upgrade community facilities which can become teaching locations. So we have huge challenge with the morbidity. So I think that is the direction we need to move forward to. Well, at the moment we have challenges, and we are trying to improve situations. We have world's, if you go to the urban cities or the cities like Delhi, we have some of the best hospitals in the world, but many times they are overcrowded. So we need to strengthen our general health system, where we can engage more of our doctors, and where we can kind of regulate movement of patients, and reduce the burden on the tertiary care health system or the urban healthcare system. So this is the present situation like, but the government is trying, and we are also pushing for changes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of in Brazil, like we have policies, we have laws, we have investments in primary care, we are trying to change the paradigms, but we still having like the specialists, and the kind of it's very close circle that it's kind of hard to move out of this and to being recognizable that the different the importance of primary care and all these kind of things. But I think we are kind of in the same place, Dr. Roman, and we have a lot of med schools. Like here in Brazil, we have more than 250 med schools, so we have a lot of students coming. So it's kind of same way, different stage, but very similar.
Yeah, I was in Brazil last year in Fortaleza for a medical conference, and we did a comparative workshop on what kind of doctors we require for countries like we had experts from Brazil, India, China, and South Africa, and And you're right what you say in terms of similarities. We have similar situation in Brazil and India. We have similar challenges, but I see Brazil has moved forward with the family health units, and there's more commitment. Uh, we are slightly lagging behind Brazil, but your challenges are very much similar. You're right.
Anyone would like
Guys,
to
I'm
talk?
so sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but I really have to go. I really wish I could stay, but I cannot stay anymore. So thank you so much for everything, and I hope I can watch the rest of it on YouTube later on. All right?
Yes. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you very much. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
is
Sarah. Yeah. Sarah? I'm not sure what happened.
Sarah froze.
Yeah. That's okay.
We're
I
only near
just.
the end anyway,
Oh,
so we
okay,
can wrap
Sarah,
up.
you are back. Okay.
okay.
I think Sarah is getting some kind of instability.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like to say something, Veronika?
No, I think it's very interesting actually to hear about the problems that Brazil and India are having because of the large numbers of medical schools and just large amount of doctors graduating, whereas in Croatia we are very small and we have maybe 500 medical students graduating each year, and yet we still have problems equipping our small population. So I can just imagine what a problem it is to deal with such large numbers of people. Yeah.
I saw about this every single day when I was living in Ireland, because Ireland is kind of, you have 150 islands inside of Brazil in terms of land size. So sometimes they were talking, it was just kind of, this is the size of my state. Just kind of these things I think sometimes. But Sarah, I think you can talk now. Not sure what's going on. Sarah?
I think she's still frozen.
Yeah, that's okay. Anyone would like to say something?
Does Aya have any comments? I don't think we've heard from her at all.
no. Oh well.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, we can hear Sarah now.
Okay.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
This isn't. I think this is one of the problems of social media, right?
It's a learning curve.
Yes. And I would certainly like to think that through social media we could reduce the isolation, both personal and professional, to support rural doctors better.
She's frozen again.
Yeah, she's frozen again.
Oh dear. Well, look at the comments is all I can say.
Okay.
Okay, maybe we should wrap it up so for today, and we can put all of the links and Twitter accounts or whatever else we want down in the comment section of the video so that everyone can kind of look up all the information that we've been mentioning here at a later time. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah. Just to keep going, if everybody's okay with the time, we can go ahead for more 15-20 minutes. What do you think?
I don't mind.
Yeah. If
I'm
anyone
good, but if anyone has to go, it's fine as well.
Yeah. So just me and Veronika had organized some questions, and she asked me to ask, and I think it's a good one. So why international events are important for rural practice or even family medicine? What do you think, guys?
Well, I can answer my own question. I think that it's a very good opportunity to meet colleagues, especially for rural practitioners who don't usually have the opportunity to meet up with their colleagues in their everyday practice. And it's also a great place to kind of share ideas and to see what other places are doing and how they're solving their problems. So you might have a problem that they've already solved, but you are having trouble with it. Give the instructions, kind of like Sarah has done with the training programs. And even if you can't implement it exactly, it gives you a kind of starting point and a place to aim to. So I think that's a very important part of the international events for doctors in general.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of the networking as well. Like, if I didn't went to Croatia and spend all my pocket money to go, I never have knew Veronika, and probably not met Sarah so early, and even now I will not know Amber. I don't know, I will not knew about young doctors movement. And I don't know, I just learned it by going to that. So this is kind of the importance for me with the events. I get the chance to network and to support my crazy ideas, like a cafe, a rural cafe. So I don't know, it's just kind of you give the opportunity of this kind of thing. So I think this is the importance of events. I even think that the coffee break need to be the larger part of the event, because it's the chance to talk with the people. And not
I think a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah. Like it's the time that you have more time to talk, and then you share emails and information, and then you get connected. So I think like this is the most interesting part for me, not that the real program isn't, but it's a good part for me as well. What do you think, Aya or Dr. Rahman or Muhammad, Amber?
Well, I agree with everything both of you have said. And additionally, as you said, you have this crazy idea to have a rural cafe via, Google Hangouts. I think meeting other rural practitioners and medical students who are interested in it also gives you a bit of encouragement and inspiration that, although to your colleagues this idea might seem strange, there are other people who are equally as excited about it.
Sarah just said something very strong, I think. Would like to say it verbally, Sarah?
Well, we've been going to international events for many years, and really the start of the Rural Wonka Working Party was at an international conference when they realized that rural doctors from around the world had more in common with each other than they did with their urban counterparts, even in their own country. And so that's what we find. And we also find that using things like these video conferences, I mean, we started off with teleconferences, so we couldn't see you, but we got to know people's voices, and then when you meet them in person, you're kind of already streets ahead in knowing what these people are like, so that we very quickly moved into the social media of the time, which really just was phone calls. But anyway, and made these connections, and that's how Rural Wonka got off the ground and has been so successful. So my earlier thought was, though, that we probably need to do a workshop at Rio, kind of talking through the ideas again about rural practice, because I don't think it's been done for a while, and have an opportunity for short kind of consultations on how to perhaps implement some of these strategies that have been used around the world and are successful. So that's the thought.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you, Sarah, that would be very useful for a lot of countries.
Well, with the abstracts now being delayed a bit before they have to be in, we've got time to work on something.
I would like to suggest, if I could, that we do kind of like, we have your university, Sarah, that's very structured, and then my university isn't. So probably the issue will need to raise by me or other students. So we need to maybe to think in ideas that we can do with like sort of different way of different in a kind of scales of awareness that we have. Like what can I do as a student and what you can do as a professor, what you can do as a rural GP, what you can do wherever, you know, like in different stages, because we have different stages around the world. I don't know if everybody understand. I'm not know.
Yeah, I just had an idea, Mayara, coming out from something I was talking about with some of the doctors in Istanbul. So they have a twinning project in the UK where they join doctors together, and maybe we could think about that for universities, for spreading the idea of how rural education could be implemented at universities. Maybe if somehow we could get the universities that have a well-established rural program to somehow connect with a university country that doesn't have any kind of established rural program, and kind of have some kind of mentoring between the professors, because I think it would be better to come from professors than from the students, unfortunately, in a lot of countries. So I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good idea, but I think kind of in my university, students will have more strength to do it, because I just have in 8 professors, I just have one with family medicine specialization. So he's the huge minority.
So just
yeah, please, Sarah.
My other thought is that you need to know how powerful you are as students. And you may not feel very powerful, particularly when you're only one, but certainly as a group you are.
Yeah. I think Sarah frozen.
Obviously having problems today. Sorry about that. So you need to get onto committees that are decision-making committees. And I mean, around the world, the key committee for any medical school is the accreditation committee. So most of these committees require students as key stakeholders and recipients to be on the committee. So look up your accreditation board for the medical schools and find out who's on it and start talking to them, because it's just like we say assessment drives learning. Not that I would really like to support that. Assessment, such as accreditation, drives medical schools. And so that's the key. You know, there needs to be some standards brought in so that medical schools have to comply with them to address rural issues.
Sure. I just would like to ask if Radwa or Aya or Muhammad and Dr. Rahman would like to add something, that they are quiet for a long time, and Amber as well.
Okay, I want just to stress on the point that medical students have a vital role. We in Egypt, with the supervision of non-governmental organization, do a lot of awareness campaigns in the rural and even the urban areas, mainly about the non-communicable diseases. Our colleagues in Beni Suef, they have a recent event, wants to reach about 10,000 person in the rural areas to aware them about the diabetes, in celebration with the World Diabetes Day. Also, during the awareness, you have the opportunities to chat with the people and collect their health myth. That's it.
That's okay. Maybe
So
Aya?
I'd like to add to what Muhammad said.
Yeah, okay. No,
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
go ahead, Aya. I'll ask later.
Aya?
Go ahead, Aya.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Beside what Muhammad said, we also here we are from Munofaya. We also here have nurse campaigns, but another diseases like HIV and HCV. 2 ago, I was in campaign awareness campaign about HCV. It was a rural area, and the problem in Egypt is our most of GPs prefer to work in up urban area, not rural, as no medical care and no medical prevention for them, as can that no infection control. They we are as a doctors afraid from this from in our rural areas. That's it.
Okay, maybe Radwa, would you like to talk?
Nothing
Or
more that like Muhammad and I said in your
okay, Dr. Rahman, India experience.
Yeah. I think in India we require medical doctors and rural practitioners to practice higher level of clinical skills. And what uh, government is looking for family doctors to do in the rural settings is to do advanced obstetric care, life-saving anesthesia skills. Uh, so I think, and that experience working in that low resource setting can only come when the students or the doctors are trained in those locations by trainers who are working full time there. So we need to move in that direction, and students should get more and more rural experience in the real setting where they're supposed to work. At the moment, most of them are trained at tertiary care hospitals where they have all support staff, all senior doctors, all other specialties. But when they are left into a community setting or a rural setting, they don't find themselves much competent to or much learned to tackle the community problems. So there requires a paradigm shift in terms of medical education, and we need to bring more community orientation to our education system than what it is now at the moment. Because we are producing more doctors than our urban hospitals can employ. We are also heading towards kind of a sort of crisis in future, maybe 10 years or 15 years down the lane, where in spite of having a huge population and huge morbidity, the doctors in futures may face sort of underemployment or unemployment. So it's better for medical students to prepare themselves to work with population, work with community, and that also makes sense to prepare themselves for professional survival, not just a matter of choice. And this is how I see. So yes, there are always
Yes,
challenges.
I have a comment on this, that maybe we should look into a way that we could develop some kind of tool where students, because it seems like at this point we're going to have to actively seek out each other. So maybe students need to seek out their local rural practitioner and kind of get them more involved in their education process, and kind of somehow joining the two, getting the local rural GPs connected as well, so that they form some kind of community within themselves that can support the student education in some way. But I'm not sure how we would do that, but I think it would be good.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because right now in my situation, I can go to the medical university and through some other people that I know try to get in front of some medical students and talk about rural health, and then I can go off into the rural communities here around me and ask the doctors if they would be interested in perhaps having some students for a couple of days. But that's all on a very personal basis, and maybe you need to start from that point. I don't know. I don't know how practical that is.
Yeah, I think it's kind of ant work, you know, like ants.
Yeah.
Like it goes slowly. But even me, if I bring the idea to my professor and they even know what's rural medicine, at least now they know that it exists. You know, it's like kind of really small, but it's happening.
And
So
also, as part of the awareness, like Muhammad and I were saying, they have awareness campaigns for HIV. I think maybe they need to have an awareness campaign of rural health as a career choice, for example, to their members of their organizations, to even put the idea in people's heads, and then the more people we have thinking about it, the more likely we are to find some kind of solutions.
maybe we need to do some kind of more marketing. I don't know if marketing is the
I think
right
that this
word.
is a very good kind of platform that we could develop into something to spread the word and to be used by maybe other people when they want to promote rural health. Something to think about.
I think like the rural cafe, it's a good idea. Like even here we are sharing word ideas, so at least we are starting. I don't know what you think. Anyone?
I think it's a good idea. And in Swansea we have the rhyme track that I was mentioning, and although it's an academic track, we within ourselves have formed like our own little rhyme group where we share experiences and ideas the same way as you guys have mentioned.
I think the idea like that we have very experienced people here in this conversation, and students and young doctors, this kind of good mix to share. I have a lot of expectations, Sarah have expectation and experience, so and each one have your own experience, so this is kind of, it's at least it's helping me. I'm, well, one person, but anyway. So just to keep going, we have around 10 minutes, but I think if Veronika had asked one of the things that we were discussing, so how to make the family medicine and rural practice more accessible. So it's kind of pretty of what we were discussing. So I just ask for in the next 10 minutes if anyone would like to talk, even to close the conversation, that we will close the rural cafe in around 10 minutes. So who would like to talk and have any bright idea, please come now, and we are closing it. Okay. Kind of silence.
Well, I may begin.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe in Egypt the problem is very simple. If just the government provide good training programs, good equipped health units, and good salary for the GPs, a lot of students will choose it as a future career. Another problem is that the family medicine is not that popular with the public. If they have a child, a sick child, they go to a pediatrics. If they have a problem with the abdomen, the chest, they go to internal medicine doctor. The concept of family medicine is not that famous in Egypt, and we should work on that. Also, people don't differentiate between the what's called primary health care and the secondary health care and tertiary health care. If you find some of people having hypertension go to the National Heart Institute to treat them, not going to the primary health care to take care of that. And that's a great problem. That's what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember where, but someone showed. I find someday a YouTube video from like a kind of very exciting video with a 007 audio track.
Scotland.
And kind of Scotland, yeah. So how to be a GP is exciting. So it's kind of make me fun and I like it. Like for some people, just show it that and they kind of get excited with that. And I pretty agree with Muhammad that we need to change the investments, and we are trying to do this in Brazil, but we have a lot of resistance from the other doctors and everybody. But I think this is one of the answers. Sure. Who? Maybe I asked you which one to close your talk and talk a bit what you think of this meeting of this rural cafe, and to close the talk and close this conversation for now, to don't be the people are a lot of bored, but just joking. And I think the next one will be 5th of December. We will discuss and I will try to make it more visible for everybody. So I will ask to maybe Amber close it, and start closing, and then I go to each one. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So I'm going to answer your question about how to make rural health popular to the public. And my own personal belief is that, our interest is a little bit strange and we are, some unique characters, but we should be proud of that and not be afraid to display, why we're passionate about this issue and share our ideas about how we think we can improve the situation.
Okay. And Aya, what do you think? Aya? Maybe I jump to Dr. Redman and so Aya can answer. Dr. Redman, what do you think?
Yeah, I think in India we are trying to do lots of networking and scientific events where we are trying to do things differently. We are doing a national conference only 2 weeks away, where we are trying to bring in a lot of rural GPs, young doctors, medical students together, and we are discussing the agenda of healthcare in a different way than it used to be in the past. So we are trying to raise the profile of the community-based practitioners, especially those who are living in rural and remote areas, and bringing focus on rural health. For example, just to raise awareness and the profile of the conference, we invited Professor John Quinn Jones, who is the chair of Bunka Rural Party, so that we can generate interest. And we are trying to get engaged a few of the very successful models of rural practice in India, and we get them to talk about their experience and share with the audience and the participants and delegates. We are bringing a special focus on rural practice. And normally, the traditional medical conferences, there's genuine problems of populations, and the practitioners, many times they are not given sufficient time and space. So we are doing this as part of our development process. We also started a journal which is called Journal of Family Medicine and Primary Care, where we try to publish data from the community setting. Most of the guidelines and research which is coming in India are from tertiary care centers and educational institutions. So the GPs, rural practitioners, did not have any place to publish or share their experience or document their experience. We are also trying to get some inspirational biographies published. For example, in our first issue, we published a famous doctor from rural Maharashtra province in India who has done great work in snake bite cases. So normally from the urban perspective, snake bite is not very important, but in rural India it is a very common problem, but it is not given sufficient importance. So we are trying to bring those neglected areas and of clinical practice of the rural setting into the focus. So I think we need to act and we need to engage and we need to network people more and more. And with more and more IT tools and devices available now, even in the rural areas, even if people who do not are economically well off in India, they can have cheaper smartphones. So there are newer apps, there are new networking opportunities. So this time is good to do this kind of initiatives and this kind of innovations. I think at our position, at our understanding, we can contribute a lot. I mean, it may take a few years to bring change, but I mean, if we start doing now, maybe be able to bring some impact. So this is how we think.
Yeah. So very good. I go to Muhammad. Just close your what we're talking and your opinion.
Okay. To summarize, the family medicine in Egypt isn't that popular among the public, as I said. We need to raise awareness about the concept of family medicine and to differentiate between primary care and secondary and tertiary and so on. Also, the government has to pay more attention to giving them more incentives, giving them more training programs, equip the health units. Also, the experience of family medicine curriculum, which is only provided in 2 universities, has to be generalized in the other universities. Also, the paper that I have mentioned before suggested that the schools may or the family medicine doctors or the GPs may go in a visit to the high school in order to change the perspective of family medicine to them. That's it.
Okay, very good. And Radwa?
Yeah, I wanted to add something that Muhammad says that government won't pay attention to the family medicine, but I say that we should increase the awareness inside the medical students. As a GP, they send the condition or the patient to the specialist and not do anything to him, and the other students don't know about family medicine. As I said, also there is 2 universities about family medicine. We should be in every university in Egypt. Just it.
Okay, very good. Sarah?
Thanks. Look, I guess I'm just thinking that if the Istanbul Wonka conference had 3,000 people, they are the people that we need to talk to and say, go and advocate for family medicine, one, but open links to rural practice as well. I just think that somehow we could be engaging Wonka on a worldwide level more of a mass movement and with the speed that we need. There's the thing is that it's no, you don't want to waste time reinventing the wheel. So I think that I will set.
Sarah? I think she frozen again. Can you keep going, Veronika, and then
yes, I can tie on to what Sarah was saying, and I agree with Sarah that we really should engage all of these people that are coming to all of these regional and World Wonka conferences. And I think we've done a good job. I'm very happy with this cafe, for example. It's very international, and we're getting some kind of conversation going. And I have actually talked with the young doctor leads while I was in Istanbul about our rural group. And I think that in the future we will be able to develop this rural group at a world level and integrate it into Wonka in some way, but it's still in the beginning stages, and I'm very happy to see that every time we have more and more members. We have like doubles of people here at the cafe, and this is only the second one, so I'm actually very positive about the initiative that we've taken so far. I think that it's going to go pretty well. And I think that with just having some kind of platform where you can talk about rural health and being a rural practitioner, that will be more visible and people will start to pay more attention.
Sure. Sarah, I'm sorry, can you just finalize what you were saying? You get frozen.
Yeah, sorry. So I've lost where I was at that time now. But anyway, yes, kind of linking some of these bigger organisations, but particularly I think Wonka has an opportunity. So certainly getting all your friends to join the Wonka Rural Working Party is a good idea, whether they consider themselves rural or not for a start, but particularly if they're rural. And then my thought was that for the Rio conference, perhaps we the wheel for rural, and do as you suggest, tailor it to the different levels and get some discussion going.
Yeah, and grab your professors by the arm while you're at the conferences and kind of tell them that they need to pay attention.
Yeah. And Aya, are you back? Try again.
Yeah, I am back. Sorry for the interruption. The network wasn't do very well. I'd like to say, besides what Mohammed Radwa said, we have to in Egypt to do good program to encourage students and even doctors to study family medicine well and improve our medical cares. As in Egypt, it's a low care about from the government to these centers, and train the GP to can handle the centers of medical cares, a primary medical center or secondary, especially primary. A GP prepare after he finished his internship for 6 months. He before study to do that master and do his special, not to be GP anymore and not to be work in rural area anymore, and do more for students, more awareness campaigns and medical campaigns. It really makes difference in any rural area, as the people of this country or people of the country rural area, they are very happy to find these things from a doctors or young doctors that will be help in rural health. And thank you.
Yeah. Just to finish my opinion, I think one of the things that we discussed here is about the recognition of rural medicine, and I think we need to find a way to bring this awareness to the specialist as well, like to my professor that is a specialist, to understand that it's part of the system and it's needed as like a specialist need. Sometimes the people have the confusion that you need, if you have a primary care practitioner. I listened this week from a student that the primary care professional will get all the things to him or to her, and this is not true. So how we can make more conversations. I think the conversations go very good in the rural group, but we need to go with spread, and not just spreading the Wonka with family medicine, but spread it more, like Veronika said around. So I just would like to say thank you for everybody that participated. It was really, really good to have you here. And hopefully the next one will be in 5th of December. And I think it will be really interesting. We were thinking about to talk about social media. You can put your opinion on Facebook, Twitter. We try to get it, to bring it to our next Rural Cafe. And bye for the who is watching us. Bye.
Thank you all, and bye.
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 Bye-bye. It was great being with all of you.